My name is Joost van Wiegen. I'm a senior lecturer of physiotherapy in Nijmegen, the Netherlands, and I would like to talk with you about education for inclusiveness. Although it's a little bit weird in this time that normally, as you said with all the presentations, normally we would have now a live conversation with each other, enter a discussion, talking about to include everybody into the same communication. And at the same time, this feels for me at least a little bit exclusive because I'm here excluding you from being where I am. So what does it is? It is kind of an exclusion towards conversation in this direct sense or synchronous. But at the same time, I would be really pleased if we enter a kind of asynchronous conversation about this topic in the near future. So with this presentation, I want to present a little bit about my ideas and experiences and perhaps challenge a little bit concerning inclusiveness so we can enter a discussion or maybe a debate or maybe even find new ways of solutions or ways of thinking and doing. So that will be a kind of an invitation to all of you. But for now, let's start first for what's the essence of this kind of monologue, what I'm now talking about. As we all know and experience for the last half a year, societies are transforming. We knew that. And now it goes in an extremely high speed. Every change is tumbling over each other, especially now in Corona time with COVID-19, disturbing or disrupting actually the whole society as we know it. We all faced with what was happening when Corona invited our universities, our societies. What does it mean? At the same time, actually, the question remains: are we inclusive towards our students in our profession? So we have different things that we have to start unpacking. If I see in general towards our profession, I would say our profession is changeable. We knew that we had several very straight columns that we can build upon. At the same time, it gets more liquid. It gets a mixture. We can't say that a part of society is like this or that. It's constantly, it mixes to each other, it changes, and in that change it gets dynamical. We have different ideas. It's more plural in itself, so we don't have this kind of dichotomous way of looking upon things. And that's not about society in itself. I would say that it also handles about people, ideas, knowledge, ways of working. So also the identity, who am I, gets a little bit more complex. That's at least a see that we have with new students, but also with learners all around the globe, and also about citizens and global citizens. Identities are not so clear as it is with our own old nation states, with fixed programs, fixed things. So we have to do it a little bit differently. In this sense, I would say that working with the same premises that we used to do might not be the solution towards the future. It would be nice to see how can we change it. How can we change as a profession in order to be more open to new ideas and to change? Oh, wait a minute. This would be kind of maybe strange. We talk about inclusiveness and now we talk about education. Well, actually to me, education for inclusiveness has a lot to do with both things. If we want to educate our future professionals, our students, to become inclusive, maybe we should need to be inclusive ourselves. Not only inclusive towards which students are allowed to come in, but also inclusive towards new ideas, innovations, transitions, paradoxes, problems, dilemmas. So not so much as following just one guideline, but actually take a different premises and change it a little bit and see from what if it's less certain. So we take uncertainty as a premises and see how we can work upon it. In that case, that we can be open to all the kind of things and all new ideas. And in the other way, that we try not to exclude people from who we are and where we are. As we know right now, most of the European countries, and I really make it, unfortunately, a little bit in Eurocentric part, talk about diversity and inclusion, ensuring equal opportunities, irrespective of any grounds such as sex, race, color, ethnic, social origin, disability, age, sexual orientation, language, political standpoint, religion, or even beliefs. At the same time, there's quite a mouthful. It's quite easy to say, but difficult to work upon. Because if we have all those difficulties, we as a teacher or we as a professional are in ourselves also not blind. We also a person, so we have our own beliefs. And he gets the thing by educating for inclusiveness. To my opinion, inclusion means trying to remove barriers. So that does mean that we have to start looking for what are our barriers for education. And at the moment that we can start removing barriers or see the paradoxes between them, then it gets easier. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of different things, but I try to give you a little bit of an example. As you might have noticed, I'm not giving a presentation in a room or in a laboratory or in a classroom, an office. Actually, I give you the presentation right now, right here, in my classroom of the last 3 days. Well, classroom. Based on Corona or the COVID virus, we're not able to meet a lot of people in the same place. So we decided with a part of our program to meet the students, first and second years, and one group of students who are going to collaborate for the next couple of years, to meet right here on a farm in nature for 3 days. So actually we've done everything outside, so we can easily keep 1.5 meter distance. And instead of having big lectures, we can walk, we can use the nature, we can be part of it. So instead of using it just as an environment, the environment is part of the learning experience. In this way, we can deal with all the difficulties. What we encountered, for example, here, we had a lot of people there, 60 different students, 5 different teachers, 65 people. So I would say that at least there are 66 entities, 65 people plus the group in itself. And actually there's a lot of different groups in it as well. So there's a lot of perspectives we have to take part of. So if we're going to be inclusive to all, we have to know what people want. At the same time, we have to be open to know that we all have our own beliefs, ideas, and there comes also some kind of constraints. So we can't move further than we are able to do. So we have to be open, and also open for the dilemmas, the conflicts, paradoxes which just occur. I can promise you and I can tell you that in 3 days being here with people, I'm doing everything from personality checks with each other, finding out the differences, finding out what are the similarities, having movement experiences and see the variation there between people who like to move and people who really don't want to move that much, although they like to move, but in different ways, not kind of sport. For the one is sport, for the other one is a different kind of movement. Try to involve everybody. That doesn't make it easier for a teacher because you never know where you're going to be. So you take the uncertainty as the basic principle. And based on that principle, you start to create experiences and share what you feel and ask other people to share their feeling. So that we can move on and understand there's not a golden rule. We have to figure out our own mind lines. So actually what's happening here is the way how we interact with each other is not based on a premises or a preset facts or hierarchy. We try to establish a relationship, like the same thing that we do with our patients. Actually, it's the same process that we go over and over. I think, and to my opinion, one of the big challenges is to look upon the capabilities that we have. As not all the teachers, not all the students, not all the programs are alike. So we can't compare everything with everything that it's equal. It's unequal. So if we take that inequality as a basic principle, then we understand we have to put it into context and see what kind of capabilities are possible there. How can you empower growth, create a developmental path for everybody? In here, going back to what happened the last 3 days, a lot of emotions occurred. So people get sometimes a little bit frustrated, sometimes a little bit nice, sometimes it's in a small group, sometimes it's in a big group. And you see also students or upcoming physiotherapists, I prefer to say, because those are my colleagues in the near future. They can take their own stand. They know what they want and what they don't want. So by creating new ways, we can create experiences. And I think that it's quite important that instead of looking for content of skills, which is very much important for physiotherapists, this is a grounding part. That's people are becoming a physiotherapist, and also physiotherapists who are physiotherapists, they want to grow, they want to stay a physiotherapist and a healthcare professional. That's not something which is very statical, that's something dynamical, which is based on the interaction that you have in the world, and with the people. So we have to create experiences. It's only in the experience, the reflection on the experience, see what it does, we can come for the next step. What does this mean for education from my point of view? And I would say there, that we can learn something from motor learning. We as physiotherapists know quite a lot about motor learning, motor control, motor teaching actually. So we know if we start with a movement program with patients, it's not so easy that we constantly be explicit and instructional based. So this instructional basis sometimes doesn't make the change or doesn't help in the transformation that we actually want to perceive. If we take, for example, the schedule, what is being written, I will put it in the notes, concerning motor learning, that we can have more implicit or more explicit. And in education, sometimes it's much more easy to go for the implicit part, to understand that everything that we say, there's a kind of a meaning in between the lines, and people read between the lines, consciously or unconsciously. So we have to be careful what is our hidden curriculum, what is our hidden message. And actually, in the experience, we can create messages, we can create help and experience so that people get in an openness and more inclusive towards each other on what we're going to do. I would like to invite you for the near future to see how do you look upon your own education? What are the premises that you've taken? And how do you help the students? Is it inclusive? Is it explicit? Is it implicit? What can you do and how can you make a difference? Whenever you want to go for a conversation in it, I'm always open.